It is a Tuesday morning in March, and you are sitting in your own driveway with the engine running and you are not going anywhere. $51,000. 11 months old. 68 more payments in front of you, and you are sitting there with both hands on the wheel doing arithmetic you already know the answer to, because somewhere in the back of your head there is a sentence you have heard your entire life. 3-day return. Cooling off period. You can take it back, you cannot. I want to be straight with you about that before we go one single step further, because it is the whole reason this list exists. There is no return policy on a new car in America. The Federal Trade Commission does have a cooling off rule. Everybody has heard of it. It gives you 3 business days to walk away from a purchase, and it covers a lot of things. It does not cover cars, not by accident, by name. That rule was written for a salesman standing in your kitchen, and it applies to sales made at your house, at your office, at a fairground, in a rented hotel conference room. If the seller has a permanent building and every dealer has a permanent building, the rule is not for you. You sign the paper, you drive off the lot, it is yours. That is it. So when somebody tells you these are the most returned new SUVs in America, they are telling you something that is not technically possible. Nobody returned these. Nobody got to. What actually happened is worse, and it is measurable, and it is the honest version of the story. These are the SUVs that people bought new, drove for a few months, and then quietly ate a 5-figure loss to get away from. That is the real number, not a return, a surrender. Number 6 on this list rides on air suspension. When that suspension quits, and it does, the part that actually failed is very often a little desiccant valve that keeps water out of the airlines. $75. It lives inside a housing that is riveted shut, not bolted, riveted. You cannot reach the $75 part without drilling the rivets out, so the quote you get is for the entire compressor assembly. That is the kind of thing you only learn by doing it, and this entire list is made of things like that. Stick with me all the way through, because number 9 is the one that ought to make you genuinely angry, and the part after the countdown is where I show you exactly who collects the money when you fold at month 11. Nobody in that chain loses. Nobody. Let me show you what is actually going on here. The numbers come from a study by iSeeCars, published in October of last year. They pulled roughly 18.5 million new car sales, model years 2022 through 2025, and they tracked everyone by its vehicle identification number to see which ones got listed and sold again on the used market between 4 months and 1 year after somebody drove them home new. The average across everything is 3.6%. Roughly 1 in 28 new cars gets thrown back into the pond inside 12 months. That is the baseline. Hold on to it, because some of these numbers are grotesque next to it. Now the honest caveat, and it comes from iSeeCars themselves. Not every one of these is a person who hated their car. Their executive analyst said flat out that some of this is dealer accounting. A store registers a demonstrator as sold, the manufacturer counts a sale, and 8 months later, that car turns up on the used lot. That is real, and it inflates a few of these. But nothing explains 28% except people getting out. And here's the thread to hold across all 12, because it is the same thread every time. Every vehicle on this list wins the test drive. Every one. They are quiet, they are quick, they smell right, and the man beside you knows exactly which 20-minute loop to take. What they lose is month 6. Nobody engineered month 6. Number 12. The Jeep Cherokee. 6.3%. Nearly double the average, and this is the old one, built from 2014 until they killed it in 2023. The Cherokee was the first vehicle ever to get the ZF 9-speed transaxle. That is why it is here. Somebody at ZF was asked to fit 9 forward ratios into a transverse engine bay under 15 inches wide. 4 planetary gear sets, 6 shift elements. And 2 of those elements are not clutch packs at all. They are dog clutches. Interlocking metal teeth. A friction clutch slips a little while it grabs, and that slip is what hides the shift from you. Metal teeth cannot slip, so the computer cuts engine torque hard and matches the input shaft to the engine within a few revolutions per minute before those teeth meet. Get it right, it is seamless. Miss it, and you feel it in your spine. Owners filed over 7,000 transmission complaints against the 2014 and 15 cars alone. Fair's fair though. Jeep and ZF chipped away at it. Failures dropped off after 2019, and plenty ran the mileage out with nothing worse than a clunk. It never got smooth. Watch what Jeep did when the name came back for 2026. New platform, hybrid drivetrain, and no 9-speed anywhere near it. Number 11. The Mazda CX-90. 6.4%. This one hurts because there is real engineering in it. 3.3-liter inline-six, longitudinal, mild hybrid, rear-biased all-wheel drive. In a segment full of transverse fours, Mazda built the good thing, then made one decision. The 8-speed automatic has no torque converter. Let me tell you what a torque converter actually does, because this is the whole item. It is a fluid coupling. 2 turbines facing each other in oil. The engine spins one, the oil throws the other, and because it is fluid, the 2 ends can turn at different speeds without anybody getting hurt. That is not a flaw. That is the entire job. It is what lets you creep in a garage without the whole car lurching. It is the shock absorber between your right foot and the driveline. Mazda deleted it and put a wet multi-plate clutch in its place, because a converter always slips a little, and slip costs fuel and dulls response. Delete it, you get a hard mechanical link and a better number on the sheet. And then the computer has to do the converter's job with a clutch. Owners describe jolting between first and second, hesitation from a stop, harsh jerk slowing down. Mazda has chased it with software ever since, and the valve body in that gearbox has been superseded twice. Plenty of owners never notice. But look at what happened. They engineered out the one component whose only purpose was to be forgiving. Number 10. The Mini Countryman. 6.7%. The Countryman got redesigned for 2025 and it grew. 5.1 inches longer than the last one, more than a foot longer than the original from 2011. It is a compact SUV wearing a badge that is a promise about being small. The price went with it. That first Countryman started at $22,350. The one before this generation, $32,650. This one starts at $38,900 and walks past $44,000 with a stereo and wheels. 7-speed dual clutch, 6 seconds to 60. And the truth is, it is a good car. Steers beautifully, charming inside, nothing on it breaks in a way worth reporting. People bail because they bought a Mini and then spent a year parking a compact crossover. The badge sold a car the body could not be. Number 9. The Mazda CX-70. 7.2%. This is the one. This is the one that should make you angry, and the reason is not mechanical. It is arithmetic. The CX-70 is a CX-90 with the third row taken out. That is not a criticism, that is a description. Same platform. Same wheelbase. Same length. Same 6. Same gearbox, missing torque converter and all, so it does the same jolt. Mazda pulled the seats and dropped a couple of cubbies in the hole. Fold the second row in a CX-90, you get 74.2 cubic feet. Fold the second row in a CX-70, you get 75.3. 1 cubic foot. That is the entire physical benefit of deleting an entire row of seats. And the CX-70 costs more. About $2,600 more to start, because Mazda does not offer the cheap trim on it. You pay more. You get fewer seats. You gain 1 cubic foot. The market did that math inside a year. Through June, Mazda sold 21,271 CX-90s in America against 5,974 CX-70s. 4-to-1 for the same vehicle with more in it. To be fair, if you know you will never want a third row, it is a nice place to sit. But it is the clearest example here of a vehicle invented in a meeting rather than a room with drawings in it. Number 8. The Mini Clubman. 11.4%. Highest non-luxury number in the whole study. 3 times the average. And here's the strange part, it does not exist anymore. The last Clubman rolled off the line at Plant Oxford on the 5th of February 2024. 1.1 million built across 17 years, then over. So what you are looking at is people buying the last of them and dumping them almost immediately, right up until it died. Why? It is a wagon in a country that will only buy crossovers. The Countryman outsold it 2-to-1 worldwide, and it was one of the pricier things in its class. And I have to be honest, because this one is different from the rest. There is nothing wrong with the Clubman. In John Cooper works, Trim It is arguably the best Mini ever made, and likely the quickest petrol Mini that will ever exist. This is not a car that failed anybody. It is a car the market had no room for, and I will not pretend otherwise because it landed on a list. Number 7. The Jaguar F Pace. 13.3%, almost 4 times the average. And now the part that makes this one surreal. Jaguar does not build cars, not slow, not struggling, does not build them. The last F Pace, a black SVR, came off the line at Solihull on the 19th of December, 2025. It was not sold to anybody. It went to the Jaguar Daimler Heritage Trust, painted black on purpose, a tribute to the last E-Type of 1974. 90 years of combustion engines finished in an afternoon. None of that is why they bailed, though, because most of it had not happened yet. They bailed for the old reason. Jaguar running costs, 2-liter Ingenium 4, the same corporate parts bin as everything else in that building, priced like a Jaguar to fix. The car itself is lovely. Genuinely. Beautiful chassis always was. That was never the problem. The problem is you bought a car from a company that decided, while you still owed money on it, to stop being that company. Number 6. The Land Rover Discovery. 13.6%. Average price on the ones in that study, roughly $77,000. And this is the air suspension one from the cold open, so let me finish that story. It is the most honest object lesson here. The Discovery rides on air springs. A compressor keeps the system pressurized, and inside that compressor assembly sits a dryer, a little canister of desiccant whose entire job is pulling moisture out of the air before it reaches the lines, because water in an air system is how you kill an air system. That dryer valve fails. It is a known thing. Owners report the dealer hearing the leak, listening for 10 seconds, and quoting the whole compressor assembly at $2,700 with labor. Independent estimates land nearer $1,500. Meanwhile, the part that actually failed is $75, and there are owners who have drilled the rivets out, swapped it, and driven off. Rivets. Somebody chose rivets over bolts because rivets are faster on the line and a couple of pennies cheaper. That one decision, made in a building none of us has ever seen, is now a $2,700 quote on everyone ever built. There is no conspiracy in that. There was just nobody in the room whose job it was to be you. Number 5. The Range Rover Evoque. 16.4%. $49,900 to start for 2026. 2-liter Ingenium and a ZF 9-speed from the same family as the Cherokee at number 12. Yes, really. The Jeep and the Range Rover share a gearbox lineage. That is the modern car business in one sentence. But the Ingenium is where the Evoque earns its number, and there is one design detail I want you to sit with. On that engine family, the timing chain drive is at the back, not the front. The back against the bell housing. To get at it, you take the gearbox off. Think about that. A chain is a wear item. It stretches. Every mechanic who ever lived knows to listen for a chain rattle on a cold start. And they put it where you cannot see it, cannot hear it, and cannot touch it without pulling the drivetrain apart. It is back there because that packaged best. Because the assembly line liked it there. Honest caveat. The worst chain stories come out of the diesels, and America does not get those. But the architecture is the same, and so is the thinking that put it there. Consumer Reports could not even rank Land Rover for reliability this year. Not enough of them in a survey of 380,000 vehicles. In the overall report card, Land Rover finished bottom 5 in America. Number 4. The Mercedes-Benz GLA. 16.7%. The cheapest thing on the luxury half of that study. Average price about $48,500. Front-wheel drive architecture shared with the A-Class and an 8-speed dual clutch, which is a race car gearbox in a school-run car. Here is what you find out at year 3. When a clutch pack in that gearbox goes, you do not drop a transmission. The hood comes off. The entire front-end assembly comes off. The engine comes out. 40 hours of technician labor plus weeks of waiting while the part ships from Germany. 40 hours. A week of a man's working life to change a wear item. Fair caveat, because I am not selling you a panic. Those clutches usually do not go early. It is mostly a hard city driving failure, and inside the warranty it costs you nothing but a month of rides from your brother-in-law. But you learn what a car is the day you learn what a clutch costs it. Number 3. The Mercedes-Benz GLB. 21.2%. nearly 6 times the average, the highest of any Mercedes in the study. And the whole story is 2 seats. The GLB is the only compact luxury SUV in America you can order with 7 seats. That is exactly why people bought it and exactly why they left. That third row has 29.1 inches of legroom, 34.8 inches of headroom, and Mercedes rates it for occupants up to about 5 feet 6. Behind it, seats up, 12.4 cubic feet. Soft bags, not luggage. So the brochure says 7 and the Tuesday says 5, and you find that out in a parking lot with your in-laws standing there. Same 8-speed dual clutch as the GLA underneath, with all the same implications. In fairness, the front 2 rows are lovely. The second row slides and reclines and has 38.1 inches of legroom, more than plenty of things a size up. As a 5-seater, it is a good car. But that third row exists to be a bullet point, and it costs a family 5 figures to learn it. Number 2. The Porsche Macan, 22.2%, more than 6 times the average, and this one has gone somewhere strange. The petrol Macan ends production this month, July 2026. 12 years, about 1 million built. The best-selling Porsche for most of that run, done. Killed to make room for the electric one. Now look at what happened. In the first half of this year, Porsche delivered 35,315 Macans worldwide, and 19,695 of them had an engine. The car they are killing was still outselling the car that replaced it. The Volkswagen Group chief admitted publicly they got it wrong, and the petrol replacement is not due until 2028, wearing a different name. And on the electric side, a number to sit with. A 2025 Macan Turbo Electric, 1,500 miles on it, stickered at $121,855. It went to auction this spring, and bidding stopped at $88,500. $33,000 gone in 1,500 miles. And the seller would not take it. Why do people leave the petrol one at 22%? Running costs, among the priciest in its class to buy, the thirstiest to feed, and a Porsche to fix. And I will say this plainly, nobody dumps a Macan because it is a bad car. It is a superb machine. They dump it because the relationship costs more than the vehicle did. Number 1. The Land Rover Discovery Sport, 28.3%, nearly 3 in 10, almost 8 times the average. The single most given up new vehicle in America, and it is not close. This generation has been on sale, fundamentally unchanged since 2014. 12 years. For 2026, Land Rover cut the whole lineup to one trim, the Landmark Edition, at $49,900. And if you know Land Rover, you know what that word means. They did it to the LR4 in 2016. They did it to the Discovery in 2020. Landmark means last year. 2-liter turbo 4, 246 horsepower, ZF9 speed, all the ingenium architecture we covered, including that chain at the back and a thermostat housing that likes to weep coolant onto the electrical connector directly underneath it. And here's the thing I keep coming back to. The Discovery Sport is genuinely capable. Terrain response works. The 5+2 version is useful. It is quiet, it looks fantastic, and Land Rover is world-class at the first 20 minutes. That is precisely the problem. They are magnificent at the 20 minutes. Nobody was assigned month 11. Alright, this is the part that actually matters. You cannot return a car, so when almost 3 in 10 Discovery Sport owners get out inside a year, every one of them is writing a check to leave. Carfax puts the drop at about 10% inside the first month and roughly 20% by the end of year 1. On a $50,000 SUV, that is $10,000 gone before you have figured out where the rear wiper stalk is. So who collects it? Count them out with me, because nobody in this chain loses. The dealer takes your car at trade value, spends maybe $500 to $1,500 making it shiny, staples a certified badge on it, and retails it. The industry average gross on a used unit runs north of $2,300. Then the finance office gets you. Finance and insurance products now generate roughly $2,500 a unit, about 50% more than they did in 2019. Churn twice and they take that bite twice. The manufacturer, meanwhile, counted 2 sales instead of 1. And then there is the loan. Edmunds tracked the first quarter of this year. 30.9% of trade-ins toward a new vehicle were underwater. The average underwater trade-in carried $7,183 of negative equity, up 42% in 5 years. 90% of those loans ran 72 months or longer. 43% ran 84 months. The average payment on them was $932 at 7.9%. And Edmunds' own director of insights named the cause out loud: shoppers trading out of vehicles too quickly. Now let me resolve this honestly, because I am not a conspiracy man and I will not hand you one. Nobody in a boardroom decided to make you hate your car at month 11. It is simpler than that, and it is worse. Nobody was ever paid to prevent it. There is no money in a vehicle that quietly satisfies a man for 15 years. There is a great deal of money in one that satisfies him for 11 months, and every incentive inside those companies points at the showroom floor. An engineer gets rewarded for a shift time, a fuel economy figure, a 7-seat bullet point on a sheet. Show me the man who got a bonus for how a gearbox feels in traffic on the 400th morning. He does not exist. That meeting was never held. Somebody saved a few cents choosing rivets over bolts. Somebody deleted a torque converter for 1/10 of a mile per gallon. Somebody put a timing chain against a bell housing because it packaged well. Every one of those people was right, on the day, in the room, by the metrics they were handed. And the bill went to you. Here is what I think it really comes down to. All 12 of these people had the exact same experience. They found out. The test drive is not an evaluation. It never was. It is a sales instrument, and it is a very good one, and everything on this list is engineered to survive it beautifully. The old machines were different, and not because they were better built, though a lot of them were. They were different because there was nothing to find out. A gearbox with a torque converter, a compressor held on with bolts, a chain at the front of the engine where a man could hear it. Those things had no surprise waiting at month 11. You could look at one and understand roughly what it was going to cost you for the rest of its life. That was free. Anybody could do it. What we traded away is not exactly reliability. Every vehicle on this list is faster, quieter, safer, and more capable than whatever it replaced. That is true, and I am not going to pretend it is not. What we traded away is legibility. The ability to look at a machine and know what it is. And now that knowledge is not free anymore. It costs about 20%, and you pay for it after you have already signed. So here's what I want you to actually do. First, throw the 20-minute test drive away. It is worthless. Take the thing into traffic, take it into a parking garage, make it creep, make it crawl, make it roll to a stop sign 20 times. Every drivability complaint on this list, the CX-90, the CX-70, the Cherokee, the GLA, the GLB, every one of them lives below 20 miles an hour. You will never find a single one of them on a highway loop, and the highway loop is exactly where they will take you. Second, sit in the third row. Not your kid. You. Climb in there yourself and shut the door and count to 60. Third, look up the repair before you buy it, not after. Not the price of the part. The access. Ask whether it comes off with bolts. That question will tell you more about a car than any review ever written. Fourth, rent one for a weekend if there is any way to do it. 2 days will teach you more than 200 test drives. Fifth, if a generation has been on sale since 2014, ask why nobody has touched it. And sixth, and this one is for anybody already sitting in the driveway doing the math, do not fold. Year 1 is where the money leaves. Year 4 is where it stops. If you get out now, you are handing somebody the entire depreciation and taking the loan with you into the next car, and that is how a bad Tuesday turns into 6 more years of $900 payments. Wait it out. And the flip side of everything I just said, every single vehicle on this list is a spectacular used buy. A 1-year-old Discovery Sport with the balance of its warranty is somebody else's 28.3%, and you get to keep the truck. Let them find out, then go get it for 30% off. Here's where this actually lands. 3 years from now, you are going to be standing in a showroom, and it is going to shudder at 8 miles an hour, and everybody around you is going to pretend they did not feel it, and you are going to know exactly what that was. A wet clutch doing a torque converter's job, and doing it about as well as anything can. Nothing is broken. That is just what they built. and you will make your decision standing up before anybody hands you a pen. Now I want to hear from you, and I want something specific. Tell me in the comments the one thing about your vehicle you could never have found on a test drive. Not what broke. Everybody has a broke story. I want the thing you discovered. The noise, the seat, the blind spot, the button they buried, the thing that took 6 months to reveal itself and then never stopped. Tell me what you drive. Tell me where you are. And if you have ever put a wrench on one of these, tell me what you found when you opened it up, because those replies are the reason I keep doing this. I read everyone. Subscribe so the next one finds you, because I have been chewing on it for a while. Next time I want to talk about 2 words that have destroyed more transmissions than any single mechanical failure I can name. Filled for life. Lifetime fluid. Almost every gearbox on this list has one, sealed, no dipstick, no service interval, and the manufacturer will tell you with a completely straight face that it never needs changing. I want to show you what actually comes out of the pan at 60,000 miles. I want to show you what lifetime means in the fine print and whose lifetime they are talking about. And I want to show you the internal document from one of these very manufacturers that quietly says something rather different from the owner's manual. It is not close, and once you see it, you will not unsee it. Until then, do me one favor. Next time somebody hands you a key and points you at a nice open road, take the other direction. Go find the traffic. That is where the car actually tells you the truth.